Today we're talking about the binomial theorem, and we already talked about what does bi mean? Two. So there's two terms that we are expanding. Okay? We learned how to go through and use the Pascal's triangle to find our answers, right? Okay. But there is another way that can sometimes make it easier. Okay? So we're going to kind of read through this here, but before that, can somebody read this paragraph for me? Nobody wants to?
I'll do it.
Okay, thank you, Courtney.
Pascal's triangle is shown below with its entries represented by combinations and with its entries represented by numbers. The first and last numbers in each row are 1. Every number other than 1 is the sum of the closest two numbers in the row directly above it.
Okay, which we remember that, right? Because we talked about this in our last set of notes. Now, actually, I should have had you guys get this already, but I would like you guys to... You know what, we'll do it at the end of the lesson. We'll kind of look at this in a calculator too. But 0C0, if I were to actually type this in the calculator, I'm going to show you guys on my calculator. So on here I go to probability and see right here how it has, oops, NCR. Guess what that stands for? Combination. Okay? So because it's 0C0, I need to put 0 first, and then I do my probability, and I go to my NC, and I push enter, and then I put 0C0, and the answer is 1. Pretty cool, huh? Little shortcut there. But we understand the formula for combination as well, right? Because we learned that last unit. Anyways, each of these numbers represents the different rows. So see how this is the first row? It goes 1C0 and 1C1. In the second row, 2C0, 2C1, 2C2. So without having to go out all of Pascal's triangle, you could figure out what term it is and what the number is by finding your combination. Okay? So we're just going to talk about this a little bit. But on example 1, it says, find the coefficient of x to the 5th in this expansion, x minus 3 to the 7th power. So what they're wanting is the coefficient. Your coefficient is the number in Pascal's triangle that you would use in the front. Okay? And then you also, though, sometimes that number changes depending on if you have another number that you have to raise to a certain power. You with me on this? Okay. So let's go ahead and set this all up. So we have, if we start here, it's going to be x to what power here? 7th. Okay, x to the 7th, and then x to the 6th, and then x to the 5th. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I don't have to keep going because they only want the number of the term with x to the 5th. So I'm not even going to go any further. Now, normally we'll go all the way down and then we go backwards, right? But if I go backwards, there's going to be a lot more I have to write in, correct? So if we start here with my -3, -3 is going to be to what power here? 0. Good. And then this will be -3 to the 1st. And then this one's going to be -3 to the 2nd. And these two need to add to be what number? 7. And do they add to be 7? Yes. Okay? So far, so good? Yeah. Okay.
And then, am I just noticing this, like, the first number is 7, and the second one is 0, and then, like, the next one? Okay, I get it.
Never mind. No, you can ask me. I'm just not sure I understood.
Like, okay, the second term, like the -3,
Mm-hmm.
C on the C, there's a 1.
Mm-hmm.
And on the -3, there's 1. And then the next one, there's a 2. And on the -3, there's a 2.
Yeah. Good job. There's another pattern. Exactly. Do you see that?
Yeah, I see that.
Okay. All right. But do we need to figure out all these answers? No. We just need to figure out this one, where it has the 5th exponent for the x. Okay, because they want us to find the term with x to the 5th in it. This is the one with x to the 5th in it. So we're going to do the combination the long way real quick. So when I'm doing the combination of 7 combination 2, how will I write this one out if I'm finding the answer? 7 factorial Okay? You need to know this process. Okay? So then when I'm finding this answer, how do I write it out?
765.
Good. 765 dot 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 over 5 dot dot dot, and then I also still need the 2 times 1. So my 5s and my dot dot dots cancel. 1 doesn't matter. 2 goes into 6 how many times? 3 times, and 7 times 3 is 21. If you go to Pascal's triangle, this is the 1, 2, 3, third term in, okay? So if you go to the one you made, or if I go to this one, see right here? 1, 2, third term in is 21. Okay? So you see how you're able to find it different ways. Okay. Also, let's go ahead and do it on our calculator. So if this is 7C2, that means I'm going to type 7, and then I'm going to go probability to NCR, and then 2. Again, it's 21. Okay? All right. So now we have our coefficient, and then I still have times x to the 5th, and then negative 3 to the 2nd is what? 9, a positive 9, good. And so then 21 times 9 is what? $189 is correct. 21 times 9, 189. So we have 189 x to the 5th. But what was my question? I don't know what's wrong with me. Thank you. It wants the coefficient. The coefficient is just your number in front. So that means my answer is 189. Okay. Are we okay? Do we have questions right now on example 1? Okay. It's pretty hard? Yes?
Wait, how did you do that? Where did you get the 9 and the x5?
Okay. So read back to, I'll kind of just go through this and then stop me if I'm talking and you're like, that I don't get it. Okay. So going back to our original equation, find the coefficient of x to the 5th in this expansion. Okay. So I need to find the term that has x to the 5th. Okay. So this was already written out for you, the 7C0, 7C1, and so on. And if you look, how many terms are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which is correct because it's always one more than the exponent. So they already had these C things here. So all I'm doing is going through and finding where x to the 5th is. So when I start with my x term, we know we start with x to the 7th, and then x to the 6th, and then x to the 5th. And I'm going to stop working because it's silly for me to finish it since they only want x to the 5th. Okay? So then negative 3 to the 7th, we need to do our second term with the negative 3. Well, normally, and you could still go backwards and start here at the end and go negative 3 to the 7th, negative 3 to the 6th, negative 3 to the 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd. But I was like, it's easier if we go this way, and this we would start, we're just going, instead of going backwards, I'm going up. So this would be negative 3 to the 0, negative 3 to the 1st, and then negative 3 to the 2nd. So we know this is the term. I only have to figure out the information for this term because this one has x to the 5th. Okay, so this is just another way of finding the number that's in front. So you have 7C2. And so remember last unit we learned how to do combinations. So whenever you have the C, that's where you have the division. And so we had 7 factorial divided by 7 minus 2 is 5 factorial and then 2 factorial. And we simplified and we got 21. So 21 actually equals the same thing as 7C2. Okay? And then you still have x to the 5th. And then negative 3 squared is negative 3 times negative 3, which is positive 9. And then you always multiply your numbers together. So 21 times 9 was 189. X to the 5th. And they only wanted the coefficient, which means they only want what is the number that's in front. And the number in front is 189. Does that answer your question? Okay, good. Anybody else need me to re-explain anything? Okay, so going on to example 2. This one, they want the coefficient of x to the 3rd in this expansion. Okay, so how many blanks am I going to need? 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I know you guys can find this 5th one, like the numbers. But just for today, let's go ahead and do the C so we get practice with it, okay? So the first one is going to start with what? It's going to be 5C0, and then 5C1, 5C2, 5C3, 5C4, and then 5C5. Okay, and on this one, they want x to the third, so we're going to start here until we get x to the third. So we're going to take and we're going to go 3x to what power? Fifth, 3x to the fourth, and then 3x to the third. And I'm going to stop there. Okay, and then what am I going to do with 2y? We're going to start here again, right? Is that okay? So this is 2y to the 0, which we don't write, and then we're going to have 2y to the first, and then we're going to have 2y to the second. And let me tell you that it's important that you write these out till you get to your point, because some people will, like, you'll think you can do it in your head, but you'll mess up. Does that make sense? So it's much better to write it and take an extra minute than to do it incorrect. Okay? So this is the one we're looking at. So 5C2. Let's go ahead and do it using our combination formula. Okay? So it's going to be 5 factorial divided by what? 3 factorial, 2 factorial. So I'm going to go 5 times 4 times 3 dot 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 over 3 dot dot dot. That took care of that 3. And then we also have 2 times 1. Okay? So our 3's and our dot dot dots cancel. 1 doesn't matter. 2 goes into 4 how many times? 2. And then 5 times 2 makes 10. Okay, so 10 took care of my C. And if you go here and look, our third term in is 10. And again, if we check it in our calculator, we would do 5, and then our that, and 2. And again, I get 10. Okay, so now we have to look at this part. So we have, let me move this up here a little bit. This third power has to go here. So what's 3 to the third power?
27.
Good, 27. And then I still have x to the third. And then 2 to the second is 4. And then we also have y to the second. So now we have to multiply all of our numbers, which is really the only thing we want. So 10 times 27 is 270 times 4 is 1080, which is what they want. Okay? All right. Example 3. I kind of want you guys to do this one on your own. They only want the third term. Okay? But how many blanks would you actually have?
6.
So I'm going to write the 6 blanks, but how many am I going to only write out here? I'm going to write out to the third one, because this is the one that we want. They want the third term. Okay? So, they want the whole term, though, not just the coefficient. They want the whole term. So I'm going to give you just about a minute or so to see if you can get it. You can write it on your whiteboards, too. Just show me if you want to.
No.
Your number, that's not right.
It's alright. It's not a negative.
I didn't say it was a negative. I said it was wrong.
It's right. We get 125. You sure? I'm high right now.
You're doing probabilities instead of C.
Oh, I got 250.
Yeah.
250?
Is 10% back, teacher?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, like saying C.
You high
Because
right
we did the
now.
second one.
Damn
And
it.
we moved it to. Okay. Yes, but you need the whole thing for this one. They want the whole term, not just the coefficient.
So I'll tell you all the time.
Perfect.
Bam.
I I think that I have over 100 videos now, so I'm trying to see if it works today. Okay, show me on your whiteboards. I'm having a hard time getting it. Yes, yes. There you go. Okay, so let's check this out. So if I'm doing my C thing, I'm going to start with 5C0, 5C1, and then I have 5C2. Okay? You don't have to, but I just want us to practice on this set of notes. Okay, so then when I start here, I'm going to have x to the, yeah, I know. I'm going to try to see if it'll upload. Okay, so we have x to the 5th, x to the 4th, and then x to the 3rd. And then going backwards, we're going to have negative 5y. Pay attention to your signs. Negative 5y to the 0, negative 5y to the 1st, and negative 5y to the 2nd. Hopefully you're seeing the importance of writing this out. Okay, so 5C2, doing it the long way, not on my calculator right now. It would be 5 factorial over 3 factorial, 2 factorial. So we'd have 5 times 4 times 3 dot 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 over 3 dot dot dot, and then 2 times 1. These cancel, 1 doesn't matter. 2 goes into 4, and 5 times 2 is 10. So I have 10 times x to the 3rd times negative 5 to the 2nd is 25, and then y to the 2nd. So then when I multiply, I have 10 times 25, which is 250, x to the 3rd, y to the 2nd. And that is my final answer. How many of you got it right? Outstanding. Any questions? Because on this one, it said the 3rd term. It didn't say coefficient. Okay, so pay attention to what they asked.